You know, it seems so long ago, but summer 2002 was a really fun one. It was a good time to be a Milan fan. That was the year that we were back at the Champions League after a season away from it. Milan was back, and they meant business. For context, just a season before that, Milan made massive investments to sign Rui Costa and Pippo Inzaghi, with Ancelotti joining Milan mid-season to save our disastrous season and qualify for Champions League. But fans wanted more, Milan wanted more, and Silvio Berlusconi wanted more. So another massive summer was planned, where we signed Alessandro Nesta, no need for introduction there, as well as Jandal Thomasson, a Danish striker who had a pretty good World Cup. By the way, let me know in the comment section if you want a video on Thomasson. I think he's one of our most underrated players that doesn't really get enough credits. Anyway, the signing that raised the most eyebrows, both for good and bad reasons, was Rivaldo. For the younger viewers, Rivaldo was one of the brightest superstars in football back in the day. A Ballon d'Or winner that still stood out in one of the most gifted generations of footballers. You see, Rivaldo was one of the best players in the world and had just won the World Cup. That being said, he was also 31 and closer to the end of his career rather than its beginning, and his contract was up. He was let go by Barcelona due to a conflict with the coach, and Milan signed him up almost instantly on a free transfer. This was huge for the club. I'm not comparing him to Messi, but the transfer made the same kind of noise when Messi signed for PSG on a free transfer. On paper, it made all the sense in the world. Milan was trying to get back to the previous heights of Europe after a transitional period, and Rivaldo was trying to keep the momentum of his career on top of the football world. It was a match made in heaven. His arrival was supposed to launch Milan to the top of European football, and it kinda did. Milan were the Champions League winners later that season, except not in the way that Milan, or Rivaldo for that matter, had planned. He would go on to be remembered as one of Serie A's worst ever signings, even winning the Bidone d'Oro award. That's a tongue-in-cheek award that was given to the most disappointing player in Serie A. It literally means the golden trash can. But the question is, why did it fail? How did it go so wrong? And how does history remember that particular transfer with the gift of hindsight? Well, stick around to find out, because we're gonna look at the legacy of Rivaldo's time in Milan. Right, so after that World Cup, Rivaldo had the world at his feet. Fresh from winning the World Cup in 2002, he was looking for a club that matched his ambitions, and Milan signed him on a free with the biggest smile on their face. Life was good for Milan fans, for the club, and for Rivaldo himself, and they began their preseason with excitement. Fans didn't have to wait that long to see the superstar in a Milan jersey. In a summer-friendly game against Juventus, he started the game in front of an excited crowd in San Siro, but he didn't really do much, if anything, and was subbed off after 62 minutes. And honestly, that debut match set the tone for the rest of his Milan career. With Ancelotti having another world-class player in Rui Costa, it was gonna be a challenge to nail down a place, and that made him struggle for consistency. Every now and then, there were some flashes of the old Rivaldo. An assist against Lazio on his full debut and a long-range goal against Atalanta gave us a peek view of what he's capable of. All in all, it wasn't bad. With 3 goals and 2 assists in 5 league games, the wheels were in motion for Rivaldo. Often as a support striker behind Pippo Inzaghi, Rivaldo really benefited from the absence of Andrei Shevchenko to his injury, but the return of Shevchenko significantly saw his game time reduced. In December, he only had 1 game in Serie A while not doing much in the Champions League. According to the public opinion, he couldn't really cut it with the tighter markings in Serie A. It's also worth noting that at the time, he was separated from his wife and lived far away from his children. And that can be tough on anyone. But you know what isn't really tough? Pressing that like button. Guys, it's free. A lot of time goes into making these videos, so your like and comments really mean a lot to me. Thank you for your love and support. So, family issues combined with the fact that the Milan lineup really started to click with Shevchenko and Inzaghi up front, and Rui Costa, Seedorf, Pirlo, and Gattuso behind them. And with that lineup, there really wasn't any room for an inconsistent player. With a decent start in his Milan career, he found himself restricted to ineffective games later on. With Milan going all the way to the Champions League final, it was foolish to fix what wasn't broken. It was a draining final in the Champions League against Juventus, and he was an unused sub in a game that needed the kind of spark that he was known for. Milan won the game on the penalties, but it could have gone the other way too. Had Milan lost that final, I could only imagine what the media would have done to Ancelotti. Many questions would have been asked regarding the absence of Rivaldo. Instead, less than a year from winning the World Cup, he was a glorified bystander from the sidelines, as his teammates won the Champions League. There would be one last victory for our boy though, as he started both legs of the Italian Cup final against Roma. For the younger viewers, the Cup final was played in 2 legs back in the day, and honestly, he did quite well. With assists in both games and a goal in the second leg made sure that Milan won that final against Roma. For me personally, this was one of the rare times that I saw peak Rivaldo that we all knew he could be. The Rivaldo that took matches by the neck and was the center of all movements in the team. It was a bittersweet season for Rivaldo. He won the Champions League trophy that his glorious career was missing, but he wasn't the main protagonist in that achievement. He was merely just another team member with occasional brilliance in an otherwise off season. Eager to prove his worth, he rejected all offers to stay in Milan for another season. We all heard the famous saying in these cases at some point in our lives, that the next season will be his year. He stayed, and even won the European Super Cup against the Porto of Jose Mourinho. But the writing was on the wall when he found himself on the bench against recently promoted Ancona, with Ancelotti preferring to start a young Kaká instead of the world-class Rivaldo. If he wasn't gonna start the game against a recently promoted team, he wasn't gonna start the big games either. Rivaldo didn't even make it to January, as his contract was terminated by mutual consent, probably for the better. Better for him and better for the club. There are many reasons why his Milan adventure was a failure, and you can't exactly pinpoint to only one reason. He came to a team that started to gel together, and he found it difficult to break into a team that won so many things over the next few seasons. He was the right man at a wrong club at a very wrong time. It could be the fact that he was already in his 30s and past his prime, or maybe his divorce and separation from his family played a part. Whatever the reason, he goes down as one of the most accomplished players to wear the black and red jersey of Milan. It's just a shame that we didn't get to see his true greatness at Milan. I'm Football Drawn, and I'll be making similar content for Sempre Milan. I also do this kind of content on my own channel as well. If you like this one, feel free to visit my channel in the description. Thanks for watching, and Forza Milan!